Welcome to the Sleevie G Show. I'm your host for your most. My name is Gomez. As you can see in my background, I'm away on vacation on a nice tropical island. But I have a special guest. As you can see, as I'm away right now, technically, I would like to bring in the guy, the creator, the songwriter, and the guitarist of Echosoul, Guy Hinton. Hinton. Sorry, Guy, if I messed up your last name, I
You got it.
apologize. Guy, welcome to the show tonight. How are you?
How's it going, brother? Doing
Good,
good. Doing good.
good. I'm very good too. You know what I mean? I'm loving my background right now. I wish I was.
Yeah, I see.
I,
It feels similar to where I am right now. I'm in
I,
a lake place right now, so
I don't, I
I know
wouldn't
your
mind the
feeling.
lake. I'll be leaving for my real vacation soon, and this background will be in play real life.
That's a good place to be.
Oh
Yeah.
God, I need it. I need it. I'm not gonna lie. First of all, it's an honor to have you on the show.
Thank you.
Especially, I got to hear the new single that you guys have put out. Um,
Yeah,
I gotta tell you, your 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 sound has some, I gotta say, some influences sound that I know of. One of them being
sure.
Iron Maiden, which I always loved.
Of course. Yeah.
Uh Queensryche, another one of my favorite, and
Yep. Of
Priest is just to name a few.
course.
Now I gotta ask this question: how did
Sure.
Echo Soul come together?
Yeah. Good question. First off, those influences have big influence on me. So you're going to hear it in the songwriting. As far as Echo Soul, it wasn't even started as a band concept. Really, it was for just doing studio work and getting music put out. When I first started, basically it started from a band called Apparition. And I was a singer songwriter, all that all in one. And I didn't really like my singing, number one, but some of the riffs I had, I wanted to make come alive.
Hmm.
And there just wasn't the musicians around to really work with. The local musicians want to do copies, or they wanted to go out and do covers, play live stuff, but not do your own stuff. And I just didn't like that. I always wanted to do my own stuff. I always felt that originality was where it was, things you feel, you believe in,
Hmm.
and just the people weren't around. So fast forward a little bit, and technology changes, and the ability to track and then find a musician somewhere else, and to do the, if I need a drummer, I can find a drummer in Switzerland. It doesn't matter now. So I started tracking the album. I didn't have a full band, so I looked for some of the members to fill in some key spots, which was drums, and of course the key thing being singer. I could do all the other instruments.
Right.
Um, Tim Ripper was available at the time, and I'd ran into Tim Ripper before, so I just reached out. He's only like 2 hours away. I asked him
Hmm.
if he's available, and he's like, "Sure, I can do a few tracks. I might even be able to do an album." And I was like, "Okay, this is good," because the writing kind of sounds like something he can do. If you heard anything from Char Walls of the Damned,
Hmm.
that was kind of where I was shooting for, just a little more progressive metal rather than harder, just a
Hmm.
little slower, maybe in tempo. And we got to lot 3 tracks, and then he had the Dio Disciples tour
Ooh.
coming up. So he couldn't finish. And I was like, I wanted to keep going.
Right.
So what I decided was I'll take those 3 songs and I'll look for another singer and just do all the rest of the tracks. Originally, I was just going to cut an EP, but a bunch of friends of mine were listening to the tracks and they're like, no, 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 you should do an album and put it all out.
Hmm.
I said, okay, all right, sounds good, but who's going to be the singer? And just talking to different people I know. Have you heard a guy named Rob Lundgren? I said, nope, not at all. And they're like, well, he does a few things and he works with other artists and he's on YouTube too. And just by chance, I did listen to some of the stuff he did. I'm like, okay, all right. But is he available? I'm like, I love the sound. He sounds like a guy that would sing these tracks really well. I reached out. He's like, yeah, sure. Send me what you got and let me look at it first before I say yes and a guarantee go ahead. So I
Right.
sent him the tracks. He's like, I'm all over it, man. I love to do this. So we connected, and then he did the rest of the album. So I kept 2 tracks from Ripper Owens, and the rest Rob Lundgren did. And we hit it off really well. And Rob, obviously, you can hear from his singing ability. He's
Yes.
amazing. He's perfect for this sound. And it's us as a duo works really well. So I just filled out everything. I had a few guest musicians, a few people that were out there that just were available. I just want to do stuff I never did before, which was collaborate, even if it's from a distance.
Hmm.
So we had a few guests come in and do it and finish out a whole album. So by the end of it, just cut it, put it out. I had a guy from Rego Studios. His name is Artem Efimov, and he lives way out there, but he's the best production guy I've ever heard as far as putting this type of sound together and working with it and collabing. And I wanted nobody else. So I'm like, the whole album's yours. I want you forever. You're my
Right.
guy.
So
And
you're the man.
yeah, he's the man. As far as what I can do guitar, he can do that in the mixing.
Right.
So that's all I needed. So we cut the album, put it out. Didn't really do any press at all, but it took off in Germany. It took off in Europe. It took off in several different places outside the US. And we actually hit the top 10 charts, which was like, how did we do that? I'm like, we didn't even push it, other than just letting some friends know and putting it on social media.
Right.
So we had something going. I'm like, okay. And we're starting to get calls about going on tours and doing all this stuff overseas.
Hmm.
I'm like, hey, this is really not what I wanted to do. I want to just studio work, but I may do a couple gigs. So I threw together some live people I could play with, and then COVID hits.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the key word. When COVID hits.
When COVID hit, everything stopped. All musicians stopped, and that was the time when I was willing to go live with everything. And we had everything put together. We could fly Rob out wherever he wants, can do all this, and we had a festival out in Germany, and
Okay.
we could attend it, but it all got shut down. So we put on pause and said, you know what, this is great because what I could do is just go in the studio again.
Right.
So there began Echosoul's permanence. Was everything's going to get created in the studio, and I'll bring in whoever I need to make the music, and Rob will forever be the singer going forward. So
And
that's the beginning of Echosoul.
and I really do like the name Echosoul. It has some kind of like almost like a cool integrity to the sound of your music abilities. And like you said,
Yeah,
it's not like that hardcore rock, but it's got that
right.
soul, like again, Echo Soul, and it's
Yeah,
got some,
right.
but you could
Mhm.
tell the passion with
Mhm.
Rob singing, but also your guitar play too. You
Yeah,
know,
thank you.
you could hear.
Mhm.
I'm not a guitar player. I am not a singer by trade or anything. I am not professionally inclined when it comes to music. But when you hear a sound and you hear a riff, you hear
Yeah,
the passion in it.
right.
I
I
mean,
agree. Yeah.
and that's something it's hard for people to understand that. You
Mhm.
have like again, I'm an old soul, so I guess I listen to when you listen to music, you want to hear the passion.
You
You
want
know,
to feel the music
I want
too.
to feel the
That's
music.
a huge part of it. Yeah. And
So
as a fan, you don't have to play an instrument to feel and know music
yeah,
well. I mean, you know what sounds good, you know what sounds deep. It pulls you in, it
yeah,
takes you to a different place, and that's what we strove for. So I appreciate that. Yeah.
and that's something that again, it's hard for people to understand. Like like I'll take a great example when you listen to Guns N' Roses, I love Guns N' Roses. One of my favorites, all-time favorite
Sure.
songs is, November Rain. But
Right.
everyone hears his piano play, but no one really
Hmm.
hears the words. You know what I mean?
Mm.
And that's something
Right.
again, he's telling the story of what might have really happened in his real life, but no one really knows.
Right.
You
Yeah.
know, I
They're
mean,
just chorus line. Yeah.
yeah,
But they're not thinking about
they're not
it.
thinking
Mhm.
about it. I mean, like for me, Iron Maiden, 666 The Beast is always one of my favorite songs, you know, uh,
Sure.
but you hear in the guitar play, the riff,
Hmm.
again, I'm horrible when it comes to that, but I know the riff very well. Like if you hear it,
Right. Yeah.
and like when I hear your riff too, like I hear it, and
Hmm.
I commend you on that. And
Thank you.
you know, as a kid, you grew up writing your own music almost. If I remember, like
Yes.
in your mid-teens, am I right?
Yeah, it was as a teenager I started out, and I wasn't a great guitar player, but I was good at songwriting very early on. I was writing stuff very early. As soon as I knew what riffs were, I was writing something down. Mainly, I was in the lyric side of things, though.
Hmm.
When I started in high school, it was funny because there were a bunch of metal bands that were around, and I'm just trying to figure it out. Crunch around on the guitar. It sounded horrible, but I was taking notes, and what I could do is write great songs. There's a few bands actually in LA. They actually, when we were in high school together, I gave them some lyrics when I was actually in high school, and they went on to do things with them.
Right.
But I didn't really think much about it because I was always putting poetry or lyrics together. Because I was a big Maiden fan, I was a big Judas Priest fan, I was a big Queensryche, all those, and I liked the writing
Mhm.
specifically. You could tell a story and you could put it to music, and those two together, to me, they inspired me the most.
And that's
So I
something,
was penning stuff.
but that's the
So
thing, you know what I mean? Like
right.
you, again, I love the band name because it fits you guys. You know what I mean? And that's where I say
Yeah.
it's commendable, man. Like, again, the path of righteousness is, I listened to a whole bunch of stuff on Spotify, and I'll tell you, Path of Righteousness is one of
Yeah.
my favorite songs. And
Wow.
and
Yeah.
it again, just you guys, the way you guys come together, the way that,
Hmm.
it's an amazing group what you have going, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and
Very blessed.
yeah, you were, like me, I'm very blessed with this show. I've gotten
Yeah.
lucky with a few contacts now, like
Hmm.
Raquel Figolo. Thank you very much. We give a big shout out to her. You know,
Hey,
sh
Raquel.
she her show will be out in July. She
Yeah.
came on the show first before she started
Nice.
passing me a couple of you guys. You know what I mean? So she's amazing. She's a great person. Uh,
Yes.
highly recommend checking her out too.
Yes, for sure.
You know, and she's very smart. You know what I mean? I'm going to give her a lot of credit as a lady in the
Mhm.
in a man's world of PR business.
Sure.
She's killing it. And I commend her on that too. Like the whole show, I was like, I don't know what to tell you, but I commend you. Like my hat's off to you. You
Well, the
know,
more I've got to know her, she is also a fan of the music. She's not just promoting and helping to publicize,
no,
but she actually believes in the bands that she's actually listening to and
yep,
promoting. So I think that's a key part of that.
yeah,
Just
because you'll
being
get
a
PR
good
people.
person and a fan.
You'll
Yeah,
get PR people who are like, oh yeah, yeah, check out this
yeah,
band. Da, da. But then
right.
I could say her and another group that I know, another entertainment company that I actually have talked to, and they send me a couple of their musicians, and I'll just tell you this: the passion between
Hmm.
both of them is equally the best.
Mm,
They just don't just say, "Hey, take this, here it is." You know what I mean? It's
sure, sure.
listen to the music, check it out, and let me know.
Right, right.
And that's something I gotta say. When she sent me the press for you guys, and then I'm like, "Ooh, they got YouTube videos." Boom. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah,
It's the first thing I did.
yeah.
It's like I always want to see music videos because I feel that the
Hmm.
art of a music video has died.
It has, it has. Um, and the magic was when videos were out. I'd like us to do like the actual videos with us in it, not just
Hmm.
lyric videos eventually. But the art of videos, it takes they're seeing in their head and they're kind of putting it on, something you can visually take off and go, okay, there's the lyrics right in front of me. Plus, there's some contrast of a feeling that
Hmm.
you're looking at too. So I think to magnify that, yeah, most of the stuff that's in the culture today is just them standing still, singing into a mic and not a lot of stuff to it, some angles or whatever, but you're not getting a lot of motion out of it.
Right.
Just very cluttered. It's like, here we are. All right, great. Now go buy it. you
Well,
know,
the thing is for me, like a group like you, what I mean, like
yeah,
Echo. So I feel like a good music video would be so awesome for you guys, like of a storytelling video.
sure,
It could be a 5 minute video, it could be a 10 minute video. I mean, it's worked
sure,
for Guns N' Roses for a long time. You know what I mean? But
sure.
when you look at bands like Maiden, Judas Priest, Queensryche, the videos of the 80s, as they called them, the glam band, which to me they were just rockers. You know what I mean? To me, they were rockers.
Yeah,
They were
for
not
sure.
glam band.
Yeah, yeah,
They weren't the Poison with the glittered hair and stuff like,
yeah,
excuse me, stuff like that. But
yeah.
when you look at bands like that and you guys, I
Hmm.
would put you right up to there with them
Wow.
because because of the music, the way you guys play.
Mm,
It's just amazing, man. You know what I mean, Guy? It's
yeah.
just
I'm humbled.
listen. I'm humbled to having you here on the show tonight. You know what I mean? But that's the thing. You know what I mean? Now, if a tour comes along this year in the United States, if that
Sure.
happens, would you do the tour this year, or would you wait for a year before you go back out, before you decide to do it?
I don't know. I'm kind of like we've been thinking about it because at this point it's just to feel comfortable with our life. Number one, we're like at that age where we have no kids at home, things like that. So
Hmm.
we're living our best life, and it's like the idea of touring and working at the same time. It's like it's not as exciting to me as it would have been 20 years ago. 20 years ago, I would have loved to do it, to go out there and connect with fans and be in front of them energetically.
Hmm.
Now it's like I just appreciate the music so much more as doing good music and putting it out.
Right.
Um, what I foresee if we do it, and this is what we discussed before, was doing a couple shows, maybe like one of those festivals,
Okay.
um, and maybe doing like one of those boat cruises where we can actually enjoy it for like a weekend as a vacation trip as well.
That'd be
Or
cool.
if say like even if like Tim Ripper Owens or KK's Priest comes into our town, which they do,
Hmm.
like we get on the bill with them because they're close. And it's like, okay, yeah, you know what? I'll slide some guys around. We'll call Rob out and fly him a ticket to get out. Cool, that'd be great. Something like that. That's what I would foresee. I don't see doing like long tours is
Hmm.
like my forte right now. I just like making the music. That's my love. But I may get out of there a few times just because there's a little craving in me that still wants to do it.
No, I get you. Hey,
Yeah.
listen, my craving is to be Joe Rogan in this podcasting world. You know what I mean?
Keep doing it.
And I keep working as hard as I can. You know what I mean? I have,
Sure, sure.
I've been doing this for a year and a half only on my
Yeah,
own, and to be close to a
nice.
thousand downloads, to get close to 100 YouTube subscribers,
Yeah.
now be connected with me being in New
Mhm.
Jersey. I connected with our first ever radio internet station, and
Nice.
I got on it. So for me, it's like the humbleness. Like, listen, I want to
Mm,
be up there, but
sure.
I'm trying to stay here in that level-headed area.
Yeah,
You know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
and just like you guys, I'm humbled. You know what
Right.
I mean?
Yeah,
Listen, 20 years ago, like you said, 20 years ago, I want to be that number one shock
sure,
jock,
sure.
Howard
Yeah,
Stern. But now, listen, I'll be humbled if I can get anybody to come on the
yeah,
show and talk to me. You know what I mean?
sure. Well,
And
people appreciate that. What I foresee if that's your goal is that what your listeners will see is that you're not pushing the market, you're pushing actually to build something great.
yeah,
And I think people will recognize that. So
and I
that's
think
how you build problems. Yeah,
and I think that's what Raquel recognized too, because for her to
yeah,
reach out to me, was
yeah,
cool as hell. So
yeah,
she saw something, and you know, I'm genuine. I shoot from the hip. I'm not here doing, hey, let's play 50
yeah.
questions and let's just end the day. You know what I mean? No, no.
Right.
I try to make it comfortable. I try to make it fun. You know what I mean? Laugh.
Sure, sure,
You know, I'm improv. I'll have a good couple good questions, and boom, we'll just talk. And
sure, sure.
that's something I'm building on. I don't edit. I just don't do anything. I'm
Yeah.
natural.
And
And
that's what people like. That's
and
what
that's
people
me.
like. I
And
think.
yeah, I mean, there's people who love it. I mean, hey, listen, do I have a couple of haters? Yes, I do. That means I'm doing something right if you get a couple of them.
Everybody's going to have them. I had a guy with, that's funny you said that because I just had a guy, we just had The Path of Righteous come out, got all these good reviews and flowing comments here and there. And I'm like, oh man, that's wonderful. And then out of all the things, the guy with just a pentagram for his little logo at the top just goes, was this AI that wrote this and made this? I don't
Oh,
get it. I was like, okay, all right, great. We're doing something right.
yeah, exactly. And and that's the cool thing, you know what I mean? Like, you know, no matter how old you are, you're still playing like if you were still 16, but
Right.
a little bit better. As better as the years have gone
Ugh,
on.
way better. Yes,
Yeah.
way
So
better. Yeah.
I mean, you have what, two albums now out, if I remember
Well, the
correct.
second album was released in
Okay.
November, but I have tons of material already ready to go. So we're probably already I've already got stuff written for the third album. At least three or four solid songs and about three or four need to work around them a little bit. So I'm already reaching into the like what's next
Mm-hmm.
beyond the second album. I'm excited because so much time went in between the first album and the second, you
Mm-hmm.
know. Well, first off, we had COVID.
Yeah.
But secondly, my production guy, which I talked about, was
Mm.
from Red Ghost Studios. Artem, he lives in Ukraine, and he was bombed out and had to move his family
Oh shoot.
3 different times. He had to shack up with his aunt and uncle. He had to move everyone from his house 3 or 4 different times. And the power only comes on there certain points in the day. He's living a different type of life. But
Yeah.
I said from the very beginning, I'm not going to have anybody else do this production. I'd have him come and live at our house. I even offered that to him. I said, come here to the
Nice.
US where you're not being bombed. And
Yeah.
he's just, he says, like, if it comes to that, he'll come out here. So that's just how I feel about him. I just
No, and
think it's,
that's
I'll wait. And he's at the place where he can do it now.
mhm.
And thank God that he's been able to be safe up to this point. But that's why it's taken so long this last year.
All right.
So,
But that's understandable what's going on in Ukraine, you know what I
totally.
mean? And
Right.
I respect him for living in Ukraine at the time of the horror
Oh,
and
sure.
everything. I'm not a political guy, but
Yeah.
I just don't like what happened to, the country. And for the people
Yep.
who have survived and the people who are out, I pray for them dramatically that they are safe now.
Me
You know
too.
what I mean?
Indeed. Because it's still going on and we just don't hear about it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no one's talking about it as much. The only time I
Nope.
heard about it, and like I said, I'm not a political guy, but it was at the
Mhm.
presidential debate with Biden and Trump.
Yeah.
So, they talked about it a little bit.
Sleepy Joe.
Yep,
Yeah.
that's true. Yeah, we'll
It
leave that.
slipped out. I'm sorry. I
It's
said
okay.
that.
Like I said, I hate politics, but the only
Yeah. Of
thing is we have to pray for that country, but we also got to pray for the states too. That,
course we do. Yeah.
you know, um, all the military, we thank everyone for their services too. So, keeping us safe and
Indeed.
keeping us in the way to the lifestyle we love to live. You know what I mean?
Yeah. We're
So,
safer here than most of the third world countries out there, period.
yeah,
And we can rest easy because of that, of what
yeah,
they do. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Being that we
Yep.
just went off track a little bit on that one, but it was,
That's
at
right.
least we got our little good in there.
Of
So
course.
you're working on a third album. You got, like you say, you got
Yes.
four solid songs. I shouldn't say rock songs, four solid good songs
Yeah.
right now, and you got four to work
No, no,
on.
no,
Do you,
no, no. What? No, no, no. What I meant was the second album's done. It's
oh,
coming out in November.
oh no,
What I'm
yeah, but
saying is I have four
no, for the third
for
album.
the third album. Yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, no. The
Right.
new album will be out in November, but for the third
Yep.
album, I mean, sorry, maybe I should have chosen my words better. That's my fault.
That's right.
For the third album, you said you have four solid songs and you got four songs you're working
Yes.
on. Are you doing like
Yep.
a 12, 13 song album again? Not again, but
Man,
how many songs would you like to
here's
put on this album?
man, honestly, I would love to load it with 14 songs. That's what I was shooting for, but I don't know how to write a short song. And that's the problem. And when you get to a time clock of like an hour and a half, you're pushing it for trying to get it to vinyl at any point.
Mhm.
I've talked to the record guys because we are doing physical distribution through No Dust Records again, and you just can't do it. There's just
Yeah,
no way. So when I get down to like 8, 9 songs, I'm already almost at the limit. Because some
right.
songs I write, like the old Rhyme of the Ancient Mariner, Iron
Mm.
Maiden. I write some songs like that where I'll go very, very long. Path of Righteous isn't a short song,
No,
and
it's
I got
not.
another one that's very long.
But it's a great
So
song, though. You don't realize how long it is until you're like, wow, is that long? You
is it
just
still
don't
going?
realize but the song is so good, and you don't really you lose track of time because the song is that good.
Sure. Yeah, yeah. There's a lot of stuff packed in there. That was my personal favorite, and I wanted to get that out early for that reason because I put a lot of different sides of music and
Mhm.
feelings and structure
Oh
into
yeah.
that out. So I felt like it was a good display of like, here's what you're looking at for the album, kind of thing.
So
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 yeah,
November's the second album. Cannot wait. Looking
yep,
forward to that. The third album. So
yep.
you thinking third album 2025?
I think so. I think as long as we stay on track as far as recording goes, and everybody's still lined up right now, and if as long as nothing happens with Ukraine again and
Yeah.
everything's in check, I could see it really happening very quickly this time after the fact. There's nothing in between, God forbid another COVID thing, but which I,
I know you
don't
never know
want to
what's
see
gonna
that in
happen.
existence.
The one
But
thing I'd
yeah,
say
I think
this.
good.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I heard the first
Yeah.
album. I can't wait for the second album. And now you got me excited for the third one already, as we're talking about it. So I mean,
Well, you're going to get a couple singles between now and November too. So we're
yeah,
putting one out in probably another 30 days, I think,
okay.
or maybe less. maybe less. But that's the one I play with. Andy LaRock actually guest on it with me.
Oh wow.
That's pretty cool. Yeah,
That
it's a banger. It's definitely a banger. It's not as long as the song. It's a little different type of style taste.
mhm.
It's faster in some ways, but it's just more straightforward. If that makes any sense.
It does, it does. Trust me. If
Okay.
for any
Okay.
musician, but any music lover understands what you're saying.
Sure.
Like
Sure.
like I totally get it. You know what I mean? That's the one thing
Yeah.
I got to give you credit, credit on because there's so, like I said,
Mm.
the first album was good. It was really good. The second album, The
Thank you.
Path of Righteousness, you know, that single is just ridiculously good. Like you said, you hear it. I loved it. I think I've watched the video about 5 times already. Not gonna lie. You know,
So you've been making the view count go up a little bit.
yeah, if you've seen the view count, that would be me. Yes, I'm not gonna lie.
I
Um,
love it.
and that's the thing. It's like the music is just unreal, guy, and that's one thing
I don't know.
I really appreciate your music,
Mm.
your style of music.
Yeah.
And I could literally sit there and enjoy it,
Thank
and
you, man.
I could say that proudly. You know what I mean? Like I said,
Wow.
you guys are very humble. The way you guys work together, Rob and everybody,
Yeah.
it's very humbling. And even though we're both a little bit older now, and we said 20 years ago, but I got a question for you. You
Sure.
go back 20 years ago when if you were going to go to tour, who would you love to open for besides Iron Maiden and Judas Priest and Queensrÿche? Is there anybody
Oh,
else you would
besides,
love? Yeah, besides those three, we know you would love those. What would be another one?
man.
One more band. Let's go for another band that you would love to open for.
Boy, thinking timing wise, I want to do a bill with me, probably Nevermore and Iced Earth all at the same time. I think that would have been a good triple bill.
That wouldn't.
Or Dream Theater
Ooh,
and uh, hmm, trying to think of who that third person would be. There's a lot of good live bands, and I'm trying to pull out live bands rather than just studio people. Um, yeah, I would say I'd still stay with that. Yeah.
yeah.
I could go. We could pretty much go anywhere because I think we're in a kind of a space where we can jump over to power metal
Hmm.
or back to progressive metal real easy. So I think
Oh,
we can go with
easily.
anything.
I mean, like I
Yeah,
said, you could jump back and forth. You know what I mean?
yeah.
But you know what I mean? It's just like I said, it's been amazing. I
Hmm.
can't wait for the new album to come up in November. I'm definitely grabbing my hands on one once it comes out. Because
Very cool.
I love supporting the musicians as much as I can. And when it's
Yeah, that's
released,
cool, man.
when it's released, let me know because I'll just mention the hell out of it for you guys. You know what I
Oh,
mean?
I'll let you know for sure, brother.
Because I would love to I would love to help you out with that when it comes with the release. You know what I mean? I
Sure.
love supporting everybody like that.
Yeah. That's very
Well,
cool of you, man.
oh,
That's the way stuff gets out these days.
mhm.
It's really hard for musicians this day and age. It's not like the word of mouth, or you used to have to share cassette tapes back in the 80s and then became different eras of
Yeah,
stuff. But now, digitally, what you're left with is if you're not on tour, growing your fan base is word of mouth. And how do you get word of mouth? Is
social.
socially, people that
Yeah,
are on the internet, podcasts, or people reviewing music. So you're
yeah.
doing a great justice for people that are musicians out there. It's huge.
Well, I
Yeah.
appreciate that. That actually means a lot to me because I one of my oldest friends, he is a musician and he is a true musician. Like he had his own band.
Wow.
He went from rock to punk rock to now acoustically stuff like that. So you know what I mean. I appreciate
Very cool.
hearing the music no matter what, either if it's live
Hmm.
or LP or CD or even digital these
Sure,
days.
sure. All the above. Yeah.
I still love the sound. I mean, I'm in the course of buying, hopefully one day, as soon as I get back from vacation, a record player because I miss hearing the good songs like that in the records. You know what I
I
mean?
think
Look,
we all do. Yeah.
I know
Yeah.
the records are trying to come back. Um,
They
you know,
are. They
they
are. Yeah.
and seeing that is pretty cool. You know what I mean? So, um,
At Best Buy, they got a multi-player where you can do cassette and do album all in one. It's like a CD and USB all in one.
I'm
I
gonna have
looked
to
at it, I
get
said, man, that I gotta get. I think I
now.
gotta get that.
I think I'm gonna have to get that myself. Actually,
Yeah.
once I
Yeah.
clean my cave a little bit better. I mean, I've collected
Sure.
a whole bunch of junk that I have to clean out and really start resetting this room a little bit. And kind of, get a spot for the record player. So I think that's goal number one, clean up, and then I'll
Well,
get
I
it.
appreciate the album era. I appreciate the album era a lot because you can open up the big folds. You got to
Yeah,
see the artist really well, had all your lyrics just right there. There was something about that special about that period.
I
Yeah.
loved to be honest, you're laughing. I tell you, I actually loved the tape deck era. I was more of
Well, me
a
too. I got a lot of tapes.
I don't have them anymore, but it's funny. I remember
Yeah,
spending, as a kid, you would remember this, spending countless
sure,
hours of just trying to tape that one song on the radio from, the rock station or the hip hop station or this station, you know what I mean?
sure. Yeah,
Just to catch it at the
yeah.
right time. So
Yep, yep.
those are memories that you'll never forget, you know what I mean?
Sure,
Um,
sure.
so the good that's like the best thing you could ever do.
Oh, cassette tapes were a blessing, like except for recording stuff. That
Mhm.
was the best way to capture stuff you like to repeat it, share it to a buddy. You know,
Yeah.
he had something, he'd play it and you record it.
Yep.
Or he just copies the tape. I was like, oh yeah, that was the best.
Oh,
Yeah.
remember the copying the tapes? Yes. CDs. I feel like we lost. CDs were cool, hard to burn at one
Yeah,
point, and then, the computer
sure.
companies have found out how to burn CDs, and we have to thank
Yep.
Napster for a while for giving us all that great stolen stuff for a while. And then Napster got shut down, and then now we are in the digital era, as I call it.
Yeah.
Um,
I didn't
you know,
know where to stand when Lars started going to the courthouse. I wasn't
I
sure
didn't
where
know.
to stand with all that stuff.
I
So
mean, I understand the musician, like, again, like if a new
yeah,
album came out, I don't think I wanted to download it. I really wanted to buy
right,
it. You know what I mean?
right.
There's something it was never that good or it was muffled, but there was some other
Sure.
stuff that I've taken like mashups that you'll never hear. That guys who are
Yeah.
DJs made it, and they posted on Napster, which is cool. It's like they're not making the money, but if they hear the music,
Sure.
you learn something. So that's for me.
The
That's how I
the
learned
one thing I
music.
got from it, what that reminded me of was the period we used to go to record stores and you
Yeah.
would hear the music before you'd buy it, and they'd be sharing the great music like they're playing certain guys, that worked at the stores.
Hmm.
And you got to hear stuff like Yngwie Malmsteen or stuff you've never heard before. And you're like, I want to get that because I've heard that. So Napster, what they're doing, if you had the download, I wouldn't just download it, I would buy it too.
Yeah.
So if it was something I liked, I was going to go get it and appreciate it. So it's kind of like the sampling of stuff.
Yes.
Now, there's a lot of people that didn't, and they're just, thieves. Let's just put it that way. But
Yeah.
if they were to actually download it, appreciate it, and go buy it, then you're supporting the artist.
And that's
So it
something I
wasn't
did
just,
too.
yeah, yeah. So that's the way I kind of looked at it, was the sampling error. I didn't get into just downloading a whole bunch of stuff and not doing anything about it.
Hmm.
I couldn't be one of those guys. But I did do some downloading and then supported the bands that I actually got to download and appreciate.
Yeah.
So
And then the other thing is too, I ripped the CDs into my, when the MP3s came out, I
yep,
did that, and I still appreciate because I had to go buy the album still and put it
sure.
in my computer into the MP3s or the iPods at that time, those big heavy ones. So,
Yep.
and today I
Yeah,
appreciate any kind of music, you know what I mean, now, because
sure.
again, I feel that for me, growing up in the 80s and 90s and listening to music in the early 2000s to now 2024, you see and you hear the difference.
Oh man, don't we? Yeah.
And one thing I keep saying is the passion. You don't
Yep.
hear the
Probably
passion
so.
like you it doesn't matter if you're in rock, pop, hip
Mhm.
hop, Spanish music like I love to, but the
Right.
passion, I feel like it's gone.
Yeah. In a
You
lot
know.
of ways, it has. Most of it's regurgitated riffs,
Mhm.
or it's a production level stuff that's just kind of there to catch your ear or a hook.
Mhm.
But you're missing the element of great creativity, which is needed to have good music. We need an era of creative people that put great music out like we did in the 80s and 90s. And yeah, you're right, it's missing. They're out there, but they're
Mhm.
hard to find. And that's problematic too, because a lot of great music just doesn't get heard. It
But
doesn't.
being from New Jersey and being now with this company with Garden State radio GardenState.com, I've discovered some new musicians that are in New Jersey alone.
Hmm,
And I was just like, wow, I've never heard of this, but this band is
right.
unbelievable. So, it's good to open up a little bit, listen
Sure.
to something you're not used to because you might start loving it. you know,
It's very true. Very true.
and you know, and for you guys, Echo
Evergray's a
Soul,
good example of that.
yeah,
Evergray's a great example of that. When I
yes.
first listened to Evergray, I didn't like it. I didn't like his singing, but honestly, within 2 takes, I loved it.
So like I wasn't a
Case
big fan
closed.
of Stained. I wasn't a big fan of Stained either. But
Mhm.
after they did that song Outside and got rid of Fred Durst after, he did his own version, I actually
Sure.
appreciated it more hearing him than Fred
Mm,
Durst because
gotcha.
there was more passion to his voice than there was to Durst. And I'm not
Right.
disrespecting him. Fred Durst and Limp Bizkit was an unbelievable band too, during that new
Sure.
metal
Sure.
stage. But with Stained, I don't know. That song Outside was one of my favorites, but as the
Sure.
lead singer of Stained, he was actually the way he sung it was the best way.
I get it. I totally get it.
So,
Yep.
and that's the passion. But
That is passion.
Guy, we could talk for hours, you and I think. And
Probably good.
I definitely I gotta thank you for coming on tonight. I really appreciate it. I know you're with your
Yeah.
family and stuff like that tonight, so I don't want to take
Yeah,
too
man.
much of your time. Before we sign
No.
off,
Great.
let everybody know where they could find you guys.
Yeah, well, I mean, we're every digital distribution out there right now, obviously. iTunes, Spotify for, streaming, Apple Music, Amazon Music. You can go to echosoulmusic.bandcamp.com. That's the best way to really support us as a band, because they're able to give more than what you normally would buy for an album if you like the artist or
Mhm.
so. So that's a great thing for up and coming bands. And then melodyofmetal.com, that's just our website, general website. YouTube, everywhere, pretty much. And then, like I said, in November, we'll have physical distribution for albums again, No Dust Records. So, and you got the old ones as well. So,
Nice, nice. Well, Guy,
yeah,
I gotta say thank you again for coming on. True honor having you on.
I
Um,
appreciate it, brother.
I appreciate you. And then definitely let me know what I could do for when the releases are happening. If you let me know a week or two early, I'll definitely start promoting
Happy to.
it. I'll definitely promote it on my side here in the East Coast for you. You know what I mean? Um,
Beautiful, man.
and it'll be just not the East Coast. They'll go all over the place. I know somebody in Switzerland will
Yeah.
buy something. Not Switzerland, not Sweden. I got my boy Anders in Sweden. He loves the show, and he's been promoting me
Very
over there a
nice.
lot. So I got to give Anders a little
Very
shout
cool.
out.
It's good to have some friends out there.
Definitely, definitely. Again, thank you so much. True honor having you here tonight. Appreciate you very
You too,
much.
bro.
And as you can tell, guys, dreams come true, even if it takes a little while. But you can see Guy here;
Yep.
he is a true believer, and I believe in him and the band. You gotta check out Echo Soul. I'm gonna post up all their stuff on the website and my YouTube and Spotify and everywhere. You'll get their links. Check them out. Album's coming out in November. Support them and enjoy the music. That's what it comes down to.
Yeah,
And how I end my show every single night, it's nothing but love, peace, and happiness. Good night, everybody.
love it.